So, recently, Sidney Powell has been all over our TV screens because she was supposed to unleash the kraken for Donald Trump.
We will not allow ourselves to continue to be influenced by flat-out communism, socialism, any of the dark forces that have come to impose their will on so many of us. Now is the time for every patriot in this country to stand up, make their voices heard, and be counted.
Yes, indeed, she is the right's new superhero. But let's take a closer look at what's actually going on with Sidney Powell. What is happening in these court cases? What is going on with the people she's working with? And who is she taking money from? But before we get into it, if you enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button and leave a comment to appease the algorithm gods. And if you're feeling really generous, maybe subscribe and then turn on the bell for notifications. That way you get notified when I upload a video. Alright, let's get into it. So, first and foremost, what exactly is Sidney Powell alleging anyway? Well, I had to write it all down, but I think this pretty much covers it. Powell alleges that a secret international cabal involving communists, globalists, George Soros, Hugo Chavez, who died in 2013, the Clinton Foundation, the CIA, and thousands of Democrat and Republican officials, including Trump ally and Governor Brian Kemp, used voting machines to transfer millions of votes away from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. Powell has also accused other Republican and Democratic candidates of paying bribes to the Dominion Voting System Corporation so as to ensure the tabulation of the votes is rigged in their favor. In a nutshell. But as y'all probably heard, she's been kind of lacking in the evidence department. In fact, they just had 2 more cases thrown out on Monday. Here's what a judge appointed by George Bush had to say, who overheard the case in Georgia for the 11th Circuit.
The relief that the plaintiffs seek, this court cannot grant. They ask the court to order the Secretary of State to decertify the election results, as if such a mechanism even exists, and I find that it does not. The 11th Circuit said as much in the Wood case on Saturday. Finally, in their complaint, the plaintiffs essentially asked the court for perhaps the most extraordinary relief ever sought in any federal court in connection with an election. They want this court to substitute its judgment for that of 2.5 million Georgia voters who voted for Joe Biden, and this I am unwilling to do. The motion for the temporary restraining order that was in on November 29 is dissolved. The motions to dismiss are granted, and we are adjourned.
Man, can you believe that crazy radical George Bush appointing all these liberally biased judges? I mean, come on. But in all seriousness, I actually did listen to all 30 minutes of Sidney Powell's testimony, or her presenting this case, the entire thing. And it's just a nothing burger, plain and simple. It's all, oh, well, this could have possibly happened, or this is statistically improbable, or, oh, we have this affidavit. And we've all seen how the affidavits have been going for him.
I know what I saw, and I signed something saying that if I'm wrong, I can go to prison.
But the absolutely best part of the Georgia case is the motion to dismiss filed by the state. Yeah, we're on screen now. We switched it up, but check it out. Basically, as you can see, everybody is unqualified. Just a mess. But check it out, Ramsland is not qualified and fails to disclose his methods. Now put a pin in that, we're going to come back to that. First, let's read this introduction. Plaintiffs, a group of disappointed Republican presidential electors, filed a complaint alleging widespread fraud in the November general election in Georgia, weaving an unsupported tale of ballot stuffing, the switching of votes by an algorithm uploaded to the state's electronic voting equipment that switched votes from President Trump to Joe Biden, hacking by foreign actors from Iran and China, and other nefarious acts by unnamed actors. It goes on for a little bit, blah, 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 but check it out. Check out how they end it. Where is it at? Their claims would be extraordinary if true, but they are not. Much like the mythological kraken monster, after which plaintiffs have named this lawsuit, like they just stick the knife in and twist. Their claims of election fraud and malfeasance belong more to the kraken's realm of mythos than they do to reality. Burn. Anyway, that's not it. Well, hold on, we're not done quite yet. So remember Ramsfield was unqualified, or Ramsland, I'm sorry. Ramsland was unqualified. This is why. Ramsland asserts that red flags in mail absentee data show that 96,000 mail absentee ballots were voted but not recorded as received by counties, and that 5,990 ballots had impossible mail out and receive back complete dates. Ramsland's affidavit, paragraph 15. Based on these findings, Ramsland concludes that to a reasonable degree of professional certainty that at least 96,600 votes were illegally counted in the Georgia general election. Ramsland affidavit, paragraph 15. I show this is a fundamental mistake in interpreting the data, as there are 96,600 canceled mail absentee ballots with no return data, denoted by the C value in the ballot status field that Ramsland mistakenly thinks means counted instead of canceled. He didn't even know what the material he was looking at meant. Oh, and just one more thing about the Georgia case. One of her expert witnesses was none other than Ron Watkins, son of Jim Watkins, you know, the owner of 8kun, the QAnon site. So that's who we're working with in the expert witness field. I don't think I can even think of anyone that is less of an expert than this guy. Moving on, let's quickly go over the Michigan lawsuit, because I handed out another scathing response in this one. By the way, all the stuff I talk about and all the sources I use will be linked down in the description in case you want to show your crazy MAGA uncle or your Trump supporting mom or whoever. Let's check it out. So, much like the state of Georgia, the city of Detroit was having absolutely none of Sidney Powell. This is the lawsuit that one-time Trump legal team member Sidney Powell has been promising would be biblical. Perhaps plaintiffs should have consulted with Proverbs 14:5, which teaches that a faithful witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. Few lawsuits breathe more lies than this one. The allegations are little more than fevered rantings of conspiracy theorists built on the work of other conspiracy theorists. Plaintiffs rely on affidavits of so-called experts, really confidence men. Moving on from there, this is what they had to say about the Dominion voting conspiracy, or whatever you want to call it. Perhaps the most baseless of plaintiffs' allegations is a conspiracy theory about vote tabulators. Plaintiffs cite two instances of errors, one in Arden County and one in Oakland County, Rochester Hills, to insinuate that the tabulating system used in many counties was flawed. The warped logic, because there was an isolated error in Arden County which uses the same software as Wayne County, and in an isolated incident in Rochester Hills which does not use the same software, the votes in Detroit must be thrown out. And finally, this is what the judge had to say about the whole situation, and she really hits it on the head. For these reasons, the court finds that the plaintiffs are far from likely to succeed in this matter. In fact, this lawsuit seems to be less about achieving the relief the plaintiffs seek, as much of that relief is beyond the power of this court, and more about the impact of their allegations on the people's faith in the democratic process and their trust in our government. And boom, that is the whole fucking ball game to this whole thing. This has obviously never been about winning. This is about destroying people's faith in the system, so when you go to overthrow that system, people don't get that upset about it. And on top of that, it's also a golden opportunity for somebody like Powell, who was pretty much a nobody and was probably best known for this appearance on Fox News before this.
So, yes, he can send the national military down to protect the border. I'm glad he's doing that. It's a strong stance. It must be taken because we simply cannot tolerate the continued invasion of this country when Americans are suffering every day. The national debt is exploding. We have diseases spreading across the country that are causing polio-like paralysis of our children. It's one thing after the other.
Sidney, you can't very well blame that disease on illegal immigrants. We don't know the cause of it. I don't know that that's. I don't think that's fair. a lot of, but there are plenty of reasons to keep this country secure, including making sure that everyone is healthy when they're brought into the country, without question. Right? Is that fair?
That is fair, but that is part of the problem. We don't know where the diseases are coming from.
Well, that's, you know what? I think that with that, we're going to leave it. We've decided what we don't know is what we don't know.
I was not aware that a person could be so racist that they actually get Lou Dobbs to push back on them. So, besides being a racist conspiracy theorist, what else is Sidney Powell's claims to fame? Well, she became known in the legal community back in the 90s for defending the executives at Enron. Apparently, she has a certain type of client. But after that, she wrote a book, apparently based on the experience, that had to do with how the legal system apparently works against being rich, powerful, and white. I don't know. It's weird. But after that, she came up with a conspiracy theory because the book wasn't selling, that Amazon and Barnes & Nobles had conspired against her so the truth wouldn't get out. Or it might be possible that the book was just really bad. That's what I'm going to guess. She also tried to tweet at a bunch of people, like powerful people, to get them to tweet about the book, but they wouldn't do it. But after the Mueller probe started, there was a sudden need for grifters with a law degree, so her stock quickly rose. Even Newt Gingrich tweeted about her book. She was officially in the club. And not long after that, she met Michael Flynn and his brother at a 3-day event called Operation Classified. They told the people that were attending this event that they would come away with a deep, comprehensive understanding of the deep state. She was one of the speakers, of course. And now, of course, because we officially live in the upside down here in 2020, and because of the rise of things like QAnon, Sidney Powell is one of the most talked about people on the entire internet. In fact, ever since she said she was going to release the Kraken on November 13th, that phrase has been searched hundreds of thousands of times, according to Facebook. And despite being dropped from the Trump legal team, which according to sources, she kind of just showed up one day and started working, and I guess nobody said anything and she just kind of rolled with it. But even after all that, she's still unfazed presenting cases. Which brings up a question about this whole grift she has going on. Who the fuck is paying for all this? Well, I decided to look into it a bit, and it's quite a cast of characters. First, you have True the Vote, which I've talked about them before, but they've been investigated for all kinds of stuff. Voter intimidation, voter suppression. Then you have the Freedom Law Center, which is run by this guy, David Yerushalmi, and he's been labeled by the Anti-Defamation League as an anti-Muslim extremist. So that's the kind of people that are funding these lawsuits, if you will. But the most interesting part of the financials are the organizations that Powell and Lynn Wood have set up. You know, the one she tells you to donate to at the end of every interview.
Thank you very much. People can donate at defendingtherepublic.org.
One more time on that website, please.
defendingtherepublic.org. And there's another great website where we're uploading documents, kraken, KRAKEN -wood, WOOD.com. Twitter keeps trying to take that down, and they've taken down our Twitter handle on that.
But here's the thing about that website. Apparently, when you go there, it asks you to donate by sending a check to Sidney Powell's personal law firm. Yeah. And there's an anti-corruption watchdog group that's been investigating this, and they say it's a giant red flag. Powell has been asked several times to produce documents that are supposed to be made public, and she has declined. The website also lists West Palm as where the business is located, but when you search for businesses in Florida, Sidney's does not come up. Also, when Lynn Wood was asked by a journalist to disclose the same kind of paperwork, Lynn wrote back in an email for the journalist to send him some of his other work so Lynn could determine if you are a propaganda arm of the third-party bad actors seeking to overthrow our Constitution, or are you a professional journalist? But of course, Lynn Wood is just batshit insane, and that's not how anything works. To quote the journalist who wrote the piece, these documents are supposed to be public record. There's no exemption for charities if you don't agree politically with a journalist. So I believe it's pretty safe to say that something very fishy is going on with these charities. I think a good rule of thumb is that anytime someone on the internet asks you to write a check, you should run immediately in the opposite direction. Instead, you should sign up to my Patreon and get early access to content. If you sign up for the progressive tier, you get a shout out at the end of every single video, and it's definitely better than giving your money to Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell. But hey, that's pretty much the story of Sidney Powell. She's not gonna save the day. She's not a white knight. She's just another Trump grifter who is having her moment. And when it's all over with, you're probably gonna realize she stole your money, and she's gonna be on the beach somewhere in the Bahamas wearing full leopard print, counting all that QAnon, save the children, hashtag kraken money that all these people were feeding into her charity. Real quick before we go, guys, I do have a couple of announcements about my content. I have decided to dive in head first and become a full-time content creator. It's what I want to do. So what I'm going to be doing with my content, I should be doing a lot more. My goal is to do 2 to 3 live streams a week. I'm going to do one more in-depth video, at least one per week, kind of like this. And I'm going to be doing one TikToker roundtable / interview, kind of what I've been doing the last couple weeks. I'm going to be doing one of those per week, 2 to 3 live streams, and at least one in-depth video every single week. So if you can sign up to my Patreon, I really, really appreciate it. You can also donate to my stream on PayPal. Yeah, I just want to, and I'll take any suggestions, whatever you guys, I want to bring you guys good, informative content that, yeah, hopefully you can enjoy. But yeah, I'm going to be, content full time. If you can just like, comment, share, that's all I can really ask of you. I'd really, really appreciate it. I want to thank you guys so much for signing up to my Patreon, the people that have, and of course, special shout out to Gabby, Leanne, Bumble Bunny, and Amy for signing up to the progressive tier on my Patreon. I really, really appreciate you guys. You have no idea. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. And I'm releasing this on Thursday. So yeah, I'll be live streaming tonight, 6-7 o'clock. If you're seeing this on Thursday, I'll be tonight. It'll be in the description. I'm just rambling at this point. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't give your money to Sidney Powell, and peace.